I see a lot of agents that they have temporary success. Nobody ever talks about this, but they have temporary success. They buy the $1,000, $2,000 in leads. They have temporary success for a couple weeks, but then their pipeline dries up, and then after a few more weeks, they're back to freaking broke again, right? Because there's no consistency. Talk about that.
No, it's a hamster wheel, right? So to your point, let's say I've got $3,000 in the bank, right? I'm ready to go. I get my accounting software. I'm setting up my business, my LLC. I'm ready to roll. I'm out there selling, making money, 1,000 for leads. No problem. Here's 1,000, Cody. I go work. I make $2,000. Life's going good. Another 1,000 for leads. I make another 2,000. Another 1,000 for leads. I have a bad week and I don't sell anything. Another, and I only make 500. Now I'm out of business. Now I'm going, uh-oh, now the car breaks down and I need a transmission for $2,000, right? Those things happen. So you're $3,000 in savings because if you don't spend the $1,000 a week every single week, you're going to have temporary success, to your point, which you bring up a great point. How many agents the first 2 or 3 months do fantastic and then it just starts to drop off?
Correct.
Because they're hoping on referrals. They're doing a little cold calling. They're trying to fill their time in if they're hustling because they don't have the direct mail leads. But at the end of the day, whether it's Facebook direct mail or whatever it is, you got to have leads. You just do. Yeah. It's too hard to cold call. I know people do it. I know warm market happens. I know, but there's only so many people that you know, right? That's right. And I didn't know a lot of people, so warm market was always tough for me. But that's a challenge and that's a grind. And I just knew that once I got on leads, I loved it, and that's all I ever wanted.
Yeah, well, it's also like you can get. Well, you talked about system earlier. You can get to where you are on at least if you're on a hamster wheel, it's a duplicatable system that's like moving along the way instead of just staying in one spot forever. Like at least you're plugging into a system. It's more like a conveyor belt than a hamster wheel. It's like that's what leads can do. A lot of people just ignore it, or like we just don't do them or whatever, right? Or they get hired by places that don't do them at all, and they're like, okay, go sell. They're like, how, where, what, who, when? No, just go sell. So yeah, that's it.
No, and like you said, whether it's Core Senior Benefits or Allegiant on the brokerage side, it doesn't matter. It's a system, right? So if we lay out the roadmap and you do everything right, you're probably going to be successful. It's easier to say and harder to do, which is what I've realized when we created Core. Because if it wasn't, then we wouldn't have a need for Core Senior Benefits, right? Everybody would just be on the higher contract, pay for everything on their own.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
Just like we always have. And there is a need for what you're doing entirely. There really is. Let's go back to like what do you? Okay, here's one more question I had. How can you tell if someone's coachable? If they're going to listen, if they're going to do instead of like a lot of people get into business, they get into insurance, and you give them the script, do this, they're like, and then they want to write their own. That's how you can tell. So we can tell a lot in training. So that's why we try to do our classroom training pretty quickly when they come on, because I can kind of tell before we get too far into expenses. Yeah, if they're already telling me, well, we used to do it this way, and I know a guy that made $1 million doing it this way. Well, we're going to do it this way because we know this works. So yeah, being coachable. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? Use the ears and not the mouth. That's what I do when I'm learning something new. I keep my mouth shut and I just pay attention.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, I wasn't successful. And this comes where people have been in the business and they come over to us. Typically most people, if they're new in the business, they're coachable. Yes. But when they're coming over and they have some experience, long-term or short-term, that's when that happens. And we just remind them.
How do you break those habits?
Lots of reminding, lots of butting in. Cody, that's fantastic. I'm sure they had their system. It didn't work for you. That's why you're here. So I promise if you give me 2 or 3 weeks in our system and you believe in it and you follow it, you will be successful. Boom. That's it.
Are there some activity metrics that are happening you're looking for and that kind of stuff? I mean, whatever you're comfortable giving away, but I'm just kind of curious on the activity side what that looks like.
Yeah, so we usually do 25, when they're out in the field, 25 direct mail leads. They're going to sit with half of those and sell half of those. So we're looking for that 4 or 5 apps a week. We don't focus too much on premium. That just kind of comes with it. We know what our average is in the $70 range, but that happens, right? So we tell them whether it's a $20 app or a $200 app, don't focus on that. Focus on the sales and the activity. And we track all our metrics, PPL, everything. But at the end of the day, it's not our focus. Our focus is on how many doors did you knock,
and then we can kind of tell, because the way our CRM works, we can tell, did you get in the house, or you got in the house and you didn't close. So we know if you have a problem with the door, if it's a problem with the presentation, and then, we go back out and coach. And that's the great thing about having the mentor there in the small group. When they're traveling, they jump in the car with them and work it out.
I love it. Smart. Why life insurance for you?
It's just always what I've done, and I think that life insurance in the beginning, so we do life, health, and wealth. We're not opposed to health. We have some agents that do Medicare. Even in the core environment, we're fine with that. But health insurance, as you know, it's a lot less money up front, right, with the same amount of activity.
You wouldn't have,
but the renewals are better. You wouldn't have 44% making 100 their first year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think anybody can say that. You're a strong Medicare producer if you can do that your first year.
Very strong. You almost acquired a book or something.
Exactly. So we like life because it's bigger premium, it's more money, right? Helps with their cash flow, and it's quicker. And then we add Medicare later. And then we add the annuities. We call it life, health, wealth, and we go in that order. We go life, then we start teaching health, and then we get into the annuity side. And that obviously, it depends on the agent, but if they're brand new, they won't even think about health insurance for 6 months to a year.
Wow.
We just do life. Get perfect at that. Great at your presentation. And that's another thing, finding a niche. That's just the niche that we think makes sense from a cash flow perspective for the agent. And we want them to do it all. I want everybody to know how to do everything. But I've noticed if we throw it all at once, they're not successul with anything.
No.
Get good at this. So it just, you don't even have to think about it. Then we'll add the health. Then we'll add the wealth.
That's right. I only did life for the first year and didn't even think of anything else.
That's it. And that's why you were so successful. And that's why you sold so much in a short period of time. You were super focused on one niche, and that's it. And it doesn't matter what it is, but pick a niche and stay focused on it.
That's exactly right. What would you say to new agents watching they've gotten out of the gate, they're struggling, and they just need some advice or some guidance? Like what kind of advice or guidance would you give to them watching?
Reach out to someone like me. Reach out, find out about our system, find out what you're doing wrong, and then we'll try to help you. Even if you don't work with us, the key is you've got to have a roadmap, right? And I've done this long enough where if someone's struggling, I could probably tell them what they're doing wrong. And, but it's probably not a good fit for you. If you're in an organization or if you're struggling, there's a piece missing, and maybe you can fix it with them and everything's great. And if not, that's why we created this system.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And what does 8% mean to you?
8% to me is, that's great. 8% are successful, but it's, I think at 92%. When you say 8%, it just makes me sick that 92% of agents fail. It really does. And I'm at the point in life where I just want to help people. I don't personally produce much anymore. I do things sometimes like a beat the boss for an incentive, because I like everybody to know from the top to the bottom, we all have knocked a door. We all know how to do a presentation. We can all sell, right?
It's important.
It is. So we do things like that, but for the most part, I don't sell anymore. And, so I think just, having the system, being a personal producer, going out on that niche, making sure that you're focused, and, that's what's important.
Yeah. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. Let's talk about the Tesla since you brought it up, okay? So they gave away a Tesla this past year.
Yes.
How did that work? What did you do? Whose idea was it? Where did it come from?
You look at it, we always give back to our community, and we're like,